When I got my son 14 years ago, I realized that my approach to him was very different than other parents' approaches to their kids. And I remember specifically a couple of occasions where I was confronted with other parents basically having judgments about how I was raising him. I didn't know it at the time, but my son has Asperger's syndrome, and so as a little baby, he was extremely sensitive to noise and light, and it was even hard for me to go to the supermarket with him because he started screaming the very same moment that we would enter the supermarket. And so or having him in a baby carriage was also really difficult because he was just crying all the time. He didn't like it. He wanted to be carried and held basically all the time. And I remember people telling me that I was spoiling him with arms. That's how you say it in Spanish. I was spoiling him, carrying him, and they said you just have to let him get used to other things, like for instance falling asleep at a party. And I was like, it's so hard for him to fall asleep anyway, so why would I make him suffer? I had such a hard time understanding this. And I remember at one point he was around 1, and I was visiting his dad's family, and they were whispering. They were like, "Oh my God, she's so sweet and cute with him. Like she's cuddling him all the time." And I was like, "Of course, he's my baby boy, and he's super cute, and he needs to be cuddled all the time." And little by little, I withdrew. I stopped hanging out with other parents because I found them very judgmental. I found them very competitive, like whose baby poops best and who starts crawling first. And it was like, I don't know, I just didn't buy into that comparison state of mind that I felt that they had many times. And then it got worse because it was obvious to me that I didn't want to put my kid in a normal school. I didn't want to put him in conventional school. And I was really, really very clear that I wanted to create a school for him, a different school. And so I thought that everybody would be like, "Yay, fantastic, what a great initiative." No, they were like, yeah, well, I survived the system, I'm okay. And I'm like, "Oh, you're not okay. You don't know who you would have been today if you had the opportunity to grow up in a respectful environment where you could be who you are." So then it got even worse because finally, yes, we managed to pull in more families. It was one school, then a second school, and then I completely let go of it and I started unschooling my son. He just didn't function in the school system. He didn't like adults telling him what to do. He didn't like having to let go of his own decision making and his own initiative taking just because an adult said that he had to play the flute or he had to draw something particular or he had to build a chicken coop when he wasn't interested. And then again, all the judgments. It's like, but how can you not take him to school? And so I'm super grateful for social media because I have found a big part of my tribe on social media. It's there that I find people that are like-minded. It's there that I can have discussions and develop friendships with people that are sharing the same values that I have, that kids are also persons and that we need to treat them as persons, and that means in every way. And so sometimes it's just really frustrating and limiting not be able to hang out with people that think the same thing as you do, and that that role in the same way that you do, because it can be challenging, for instance, hanging out with other families and watch how they treat their kids. And if I have ever felt judged, I know that I can also be very judgmental, and I see parents talk to their kids in ways that I'm just like, no, I squirm. I have a really hard time being in that space. And so I know that there are a lot of people out there that really long for meeting in person, people that are on the same page, people that think the same and that share these values. And so I don't want you to feel as lonely as I have felt. There are more of us out there, and this is also a really good reason why I think that parents should come to My Child and Me, and during 2 days hang out with other people that have the same mindset, that share the same values, that also want to let their kids grow up with freedom and being respected for the human beings that they are. So yeah, that was a little bit from me today. Come to Bornholm in March 2020, and we'll talk together, we'll reflect together, we can share together. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to seeing you there.